Hello friends and colleagues. Welcome to this first lecture in research methodology and research dissertation writing. This is geared towards helping the students, both undergraduates and postgraduates, who are in this holiday writing research, grappling with this issue called research dissertation writing. I'm going to simplify my series of lectures, and so that every one of you at whatever level you can be able to grasp and be able to write your research very well with a lot of ease. Now let me start with introducing myself. I'm Wesley Simon, and I've taught for the last kind of like more than 20 years, and more than half of my teaching experience has been in universities in and outside Uganda. And so therefore I help students. I've supervised students at all levels, more than 1,000 students in a row. And so therefore I'm really in position of helping all the students at whatever level to do research. I've done a lot of reading, I've done a lot of books. And so therefore this I'm going to start by telling you that research dissertation is an examination, the simplest exam you shall ever do as a student. You see, why do I say it's simple? Is because you write this exam with the help of the person who is going to mark this exam. Interesting. Because you write this exam, you write it with your supervisor. All the universities allocate supervisors for their students, and so the student and the supervisor come up with a book or a research report that belongs to the both of them. And so therefore the two of them can even extract an article, a journal article, to publish, and they co-publish this article. So therefore I'm saying that it should be taken as the simplest exam. Why? Because you choose the question and you look for the answers with the help of your supervisor. Let me start by saying that I shall be giving a series of lectures online, and the first one is about how you can start writing research or research dissertation. I'm going to kind of like differ from the usual, and I'm going to make it simpler. If anyone wants to write research, it all begins with identifying a problem, a research problem. You see, so many people say or tell you that you have to start by identifying a topic or title. I should say that that is a kind of like a long route to take, because without a research problem you can never proceed well. So therefore we shall begin by identifying a research problem. How do you identify a research problem? Let me say this. A researcher, an academic researcher, is like a medical doctor. When you go to the medical doctor, the medical doctor cannot start by administering an injection or by giving you tablets, because he doesn't know exactly what your problem is. So they first ask you questions to diagnose what your problem is, and later they go ahead to sort out that problem. That is what researchers do. That is what academic research is all about, to find out any problem that is in organizations and to be able to suggest solutions to that problem. That is why at the end of every academic research you have what we call recommendations. Yes, you recommend what to do about that problem. So therefore, friends, let's begin by identifying a research problem. How do you identify a research problem? Now, I know that every one of you as students, you're doing degrees in your specialty. So identify a problem that is within your specialty as a student. Let me say you probably are specializing in human resource management, or you're specializing in procurement, or you're specializing in name it. So your research problem must be related to your specialty, your degree specialty. So therefore, first of all, identify a research problem. What is the problem you're going to address? And so many people, so many students, when they come to defend their proposals or defend their thesis in Viva, one of the biggest questions we ask them is, what is the problem you're addressing? I remember one time one of the students came to, to present and defend the proposal. I asked, what is the research problem you're addressing? The student said, there is no problem. I said, come on, is there no problem? And let me ask again, what is the research problem you are trying to address in your research? The gentleman was saying, I have no problem at all, everything is okay. I realized that this student does not even know what research is about. There is a temptation that most of the students, many students will go out to have somebody to help them produce the research report, the research proposal. They pay them some little money for that work, but it's not it's not so good. You have to know how to generate the issues that are there in the proposal, and you have to explain and defend. You have to own it up and defend your proposal. So it's better you who is going to do research to be able to identify the problem yourself and be able to explain to the rest that this is the problem I'm addressing. So it all begins with identifying a research problem. Many organizations have issues and problems and challenges. That is why we do academic research to sort out those problems. So therefore, it begins with identifying a problem. I do not want to start by identifying a topic, because when we identify a problem, it will help us to actually come up with a topic. And I'll give you examples here. Let us imagine that you are a human resource management specialist, yes, human resource management student, whether undergraduate or postgraduate. You want to look at any issue that is related to human resource management. Let us say maybe it's about poor employee performance. You are convinced that some of the employees are not performing well. They're underperforming. So what do? You want to sort out that problem. But once you have identified that some employees do not perform to the expectations, then you have to identify an organization that has such a problem. Let me warn you, never tether a problem to an organization that does not have it, because so when you're going to carry out your research, administer the questionnaires, they tell you, man, we don't have such a problem here, our employees are performing so well over the years. So therefore, when you identify a problem, you must have empirical evidence for the occurrence of that problem. It should be recorded somewhere. Maybe there is somewhere where it is recorded. Maybe it's an annual report that indicates that our employees are not performing well. There are gaps in their performance in our organization. So therefore, you say there is poor performance of employees probably in Uganda or in Kenya or in DR Congo or in South Sudan, but you cannot do research about the whole country. So therefore, you may want to choose a case study, an organization as a case study. So therefore, you choose an organization that has that problem, and there should be empirical evidence of the occurrence of that problem. Let us imagine that yes, you have identified the organization. Yes, and you have identified that this organization actually has a problem of poor employee performance, which is okay, and you want to sort it out. So, how do you proceed from there? Then we backpedal a little bit to say, what is it that is going to sort out the poor employee performance? Remember the analogy of the medical doctor? Once the doctor identifies that you have a problem, you have a malaria fever, then he wants to say, what is it that can sort out the malaria fever? As a researcher, once you identify a problem, you now say, what is it that can sort out this problem? So, what is it that can sort out poor employee performance? Maybe some scholars will say motivation. Once they're motivated, they'll be sorted out and they'll perform well. Others will say maybe their work is not engaging enough. So we say employee engagement. You see, those are two variables that we have come up with. There's the first variable is employee motivation. The second variable is employee engagement. But the third variable, which is very important, is the employee performance. In this case, we do not record poor employee performance as a variable because we cannot predict negative variables. So therefore, employee performance is the opposite of poor employee performance, we shall say it will depend, employee performance will depend on the level of motivation they are given in the organization. And it could also depend on how engaged they are in the organization. So therefore, we can now start coming up with the next, which is the topic or title. So how do we come up with a title? We are going to use variables. Those variables we have identified. We could say the effect of motivation on employee performance. You see, as easy as that. Or you could say the impact of employee engagement on employee performance. You see, or you can come up with a third title or topic for your study, engaging, involving the three variables, and say employee engagement, comma, motivation, comma, and employee performance in non-government organizations in Somalia or in Uganda. You see, and you say a case study of, and you give an organization, Rosim Global Consult, for instance. You see, so the heading is coming from the identification of the problem. The research problem will give us the rest of the work in the research. If your research problem is not clear, for goodness sake, you can never proceed well. If the doctor misinterprets the problem of the patient, that patient will never be well. The best they can do once they have been given a wrong medication is to die. So therefore, my medical doctors as researchers, make sure you don't kill the patients, and that is the research you're writing. So today we have talked about how to generate a research problem. That research problem must be in line with your degree program. If you're doing procurement, for instance, bachelor of procurement or masters in procurement, I don't expect you to come up with a topic that is related to HIV and AIDS, for instance. You see, if you're doing maybe master's MBA specializing in human resource management, I do not expect you to come up with a topic that is talking about maybe procurement in non-government organizations. So therefore, choose a topic, choose a problem that is in line with your specialty, and choose an organization that actually has that problem. And thirdly, make sure that the organization you are choosing, actually there is empirical evidence and data which you are going to quote that the problem actually appears or occurs in that organization. And lastly, number 4, we have seen how we can generate a topic. So my friends, we shall begin from there next time in the next lecture, so that we may talk about what next after identifying the research problem and identifying the possible research topics. How do we proceed? Let's meet next time. God bless.